Hey everyone, Reef here for another video. We just got back from our vacation today, and these are how all the tanks are looking after I've been away for 5 days. So the fish ate on the day I left, and they ate on the day I came back. So they only had a roughly 4-day period there in between where they were left to their own vices. Looking at the aquarium here, we can see that in the 13-gallon, the leather corals are honestly doing better than ever on the left side here. Let's just take a look at these, get all the simple corals out of the way. They're looking fantastic. We can see that the mushrooms are actually doing incredible. They are extending more than honestly I've ever seen them before, and they're actually covering each other, which is insane. The Duncan coral here has actually colored up more. I honestly think that the higher nitrates in the tank from me just not touching it or doing anything for a couple days is honestly helping here. And these mushrooms are obviously doing good just like the other ones. All the zoas are open as usual, and then the bubble tip anemone is doing insanely good actually. It's like comical how good the bubble tip anemone is doing. So the bubble tip is actually getting big enough that it was over here in the center, and then it has actually moved and actually knocked this rock down. So the rock on the right has been knocked down, and the anemone has taken that space in the center for its own. But we can get a really good look at what all the polyps look like here. All the tentacles, I mean. And you can actually see inside the anemone, which is kind of crazy. You can see all the green and rainbowness to it, which is really cool. And we can see here that the trumpet coral, or the candy cane coral, is doing really good. Looks fantastic. So that's good to see. We're getting lots of heads, lots of growth on this. Ever since I started dosing that all for Reef, it has been taking off. The zoas are doing great. Really need to move this frag down to the rock structure somewhere so it can start to grow. These zoas, I think I need to move into a tank with some higher lighting. They are stretching just a little bit. And then the hammer coral is actually doing fantastic. If we look at the hammer coral, it's really adjusted well to the tank by now. We've had the hammer coral now for a few weeks, so the first couple weeks it was a little closed up, not really opening up too much and not really flowing around. Now we're starting to get some movement. I can actually see the gold start to come back in it. And this is just on the cheap blue and white LEDs that come with the Fluval Evo 13.5-gallon tank. So ideally this coral would look even more fantastic under something like a Kessel. And then the leather coral is obviously doing fantastic as usual, although he is knocked over and I need to move him back. So this is how the tank is looking though. Everything is looking great. The clownfish, now that they've eaten since I've came back, are nice and plump. And hopefully the clown goby ate some of that food. I think he's hiding somewhere in there. And even the colt coral is starting to come back a little bit there in the back. So I think this just goes to show that maybe I was keeping the tank, honestly, a little too clean. And, leaving the tank alone, maybe doing water changes every couple weeks instead of a small water change every week is actually beneficial for the specific corals that I have in this tank. Now the 4.8-gallon right next to it, this tank is also doing fantastic. We can see here that there is some coralline algae at the bottom. That's not cyano. It kind of looks like cyano on camera, but it is just a coralline algae growing on the side of the glass here. We've got coralline algae, honestly, all down the left side, all down the bottom, all up the right side. It's kind of ridiculous how much coralline algae we've actually got growing in this tank. Even on the left side here, it is just out of control. So maybe I'll make a video on my tips for growing coralline algae if y'all are interested, because it's actually fairly easy to grow once you kind of figure out the, what you need to grow, the calcium and the lighting and flow and all that good stuff. We can see in here that the fish are doing great. So the clownfish are doing fantastic. These are just 2 regular Ocellaris clowns. We can see the mushroom corals in here doing fantastic as usual. There is some algae on the glass of all these tanks, so I do need to scrub the tanks to be able to see in there better. I didn't want to scrub them though, so you guys could see exactly how the tanks looked when I got back from the vacation. Yeah, the mushroom corals in here doing absolutely fantastic. We can get a little side view here maybe, kind of get a better view of all those mushrooms in there. My wife makes an excellent point. These clownfish are going in the BioCube, not the Nuvo. The pink skunks in here are going in the Nuvo, so that is my bad. I just wanted to clarify that in the video for anybody who was curious. Now we have the BioCube here. As we can see, the neon goby is doing absolutely fantastic. We saw some awesome neon gobies at an aquarium that we went to recently. New video coming out on that soon. And they were honestly huge. They were like 3 inches long. I didn't even know neon gobies could get that big. But it was really cool to see them in their full-grown state. But the BioCube itself, let's check the water. I know the water level was pretty low. So back here on the side of the tank, the water level was full when we left. You can see that it's currently halfway down. It's right there. So the water level being halfway down means that there's some evaporation on this tank. And the reason for that is we added some upgrades to this tank right before we left. and I didn't anticipate those upgrades causing that much of a decrease in the water evaporation, but we'll make a video on that soon, so stay tuned for those upgrades, because I really think the upgrade we made to the BioCube is a absolutely necessary one, and we have a couple more upgrades planned for this tank. As for the algae on the glass, there's a lot of algae on this glass, and this tank is only running at 50% intensity on the lights. What is happening here is there's just a lot of nutrients in the water that's causing the algae to grow, because there's no coral to use up any of that nutrient in this tank. So hopefully we'll add some coral soon, probably put in some mushrooms. That's kind of my goal for this tank, is to be a low light, maybe LPS type of tank where we've got some low light corals in there, maybe some mushrooms, zoas, this sort of a soft tank, right? Like a softy tank with some leather corals and whatnot. The goby is also still in here, the Watchman goby, although I do believe he's in the back here. So there you can see the coral beauty. She is looking beautiful. The yellow Watchman, though, usually he's back there in the middle. Maybe he's, oh, here he is, right here on the side. So he's doing fantastic. We can get the white balance adjusted on him. There we go. Little C3PO, doing great. R2D2's in here somewhere, I just saw him. And then Palpatine, no, I don't know what we've named the Coral Beauty yet, but beautiful. Not Palpatine. Not Palpatine, the wife says. Anyways, tank is doing fantastic though. Love the BioCube. Hermits are really happy. Doesn't even look like we lost any hermit crabs, which is great. And all the Nesaria snails are in there last time I checked, so that's good. So here we've got the 25-gallon Peninsula tank by Marine Land. We do have some upgrades planned for this tank as well, so stay tuned for those. But this tank is doing great as well. So both Clarky Clowns are looking great. The Banggai Cardinal is looking fantastic in the back, and there is a lot of algae on this tank as well, so I do really need to scrub this one pretty badly. The Rose Bubble Tip anemones over here are doing fantastic. So the phosphate in this tank was kind of out of control, and we added some Chaeto, and that has really helped keep the phosphate under control without me having to do water changes all the time. But we can see that these Rose Bubble Tips are starting to get their bubbles back, and they're looking fantastic. Anemones do take a couple weeks to fully return to normal health, so this is pretty normal for them. The leather coral is doing okay, but again, that cord has fallen over him, so I need to just honestly take that power head out. And then the other leather coral down here is doing pretty good, it looks like. I can see the green, so I know he's opening up enough to see the green little tips there. But I do need to go ahead and clean the glass and just test the water parameters on this tank, make sure everything is alrighty in there. And yeah, so this tank is looking great. I'm pretty happy with this. Now we have the Innovative Marine 25-gallon lagoon tank. Crazy part here, the Kessel is on literally 10%, not even 5%. I barely turned it. And the camera settings have not been adjusted since looking at the Peninsula tank. The Kessel is seriously brighter than the Peninsula tank, and the Peninsula tank light is on 100%, and this Kessel is brighter than that, exactly maybe 5%. It's just shocking to me, because that's off, that's on, that's off, that's on. So it's maybe 10% at most. Love this Kessel light though, I'm super happy with it. So the live rock in here, looking fantastic. Looks like we've actually got some hermit crabs that came in on the live rock from the Peninsula tank. So I have been ghost feeding this tank, so they've actually had something to eat there and get, so they're not starving, which is really important. And then if we look at the rockwork, it looks like we actually have in total, I think, 3 hermit crabs in here. So that's good to see that the hermit crabs are surviving, which is indicating that at least something is going right in this tank. It's only 2 weeks old now, so it's roughly halfway through its cycle, but it did have established media, did have the live rock there, and it has had really good water flow. We did not have live sand though, so that is slowing this down just a little bit, I think. But we are going to test all the water parameters now, guys. The first thing we test for is alkalinity. You can see this is 6.2. That's very low. We keep it between 8 and 9 here usually. I like to keep it on the upper end of 8, so around 8.8 or 8.9 if possible. Here is our Sulfur ammonia test. We can see that the ammonia is 0, which is good. Here we can also see that the nitrite is 0. We can also see that the nitrate is 1. Barely anything picking up on that test right there. So this can mean one of two things. Either this tank has cycled and has the bacteria from the previous tanks in there and the live rock, and that has put enough bacteria in the tank that it was able to digest the ammonia and the food that was dissolving that I was putting in there the past 14 days. Or this could mean that the tank never cycled in the first place. So what we've done, we've put a bunch of fish food in here that'll dissolve overnight, and the ammonia will start to generate in the tank in the next week or so. and you can see the pump automatically turning back on here. Very cool. My favorite feature of this pump. If you want to learn more about this pump, go check out the video where we set up this aquarium. But putting the food in here is going to break down, eventually turn into ammonia, and then we'll see if our nitrate rises. And if our nitrate rises, then we know the tank is cycled. However, if we get a huge spike in ammonia or nitrite, then we know the tank has not yet finished cycling here. And the one thing to be aware of is ammonia is generated when the fish eat the food, digest it, and then excrement it. So in this case, the food is just breaking down, and that is going to take longer to turn into ammonia than it would if it went through a fish's digestive system and came out the other end there. So because of that, it's going to take probably about a day for this to turn into ammonia and dissolve and start to show up on a test. So we'll test this in probably 3 or 4 days near the end of the week and see if the nitrate has spiked at all or if it's still at that 1.0 mark. On June 30th here, we have the alkalinity in the Fluval 13.5 gallon at 8.9. Today, on the 9th of July, we have the alkalinity at 7.9 DKH. So we can see that since the 30th of June, it's dropped by 1 entire point there actually, which is pretty interesting given all the coral in there. That actually checks out, makes a lot of sense. Alrighty, here we have the BioCube nitrate. It is literally 0. You're supposed to look from the top down, but this is perfectly clear. So either I did the test wrong or the nitrate is actually 0. Ignore that it's on the nitrite card because literally the cards are almost identical. Anyways, the Fluval, where all the coral looks beautiful, is testing literally at 50 nitrate, which is hilarious. So when people tell you you need an exquisitely clean tank to keep coral, I would not believe them because evidently corals do like the water to be a little bit dirty and have a little bit of nitrate in there. And I think a lot of the nitrate is actually being used by corals to help them with photosynthetic needs and be a part of their food system. So I'll have to do a little more research on that just to see how true those claims are, because I've read that on a couple forums that you need nitrates to be food for the coral. So I'm going to be doing a deeper dive on that in the future. With all these tests in mind, it does look like the alkalinity in the 13.5 gallon went down. So we dosed some Reef. Looks like we're going to leave the 25-gallon lagoon go another week or 2 before we put any fish in it and continue to monitor just to make sure it's fully cycled. And the 4.8 gallon is looking good. I did put some Reef in there just for all the mushrooms and the zoanthids. And then the BioCube is testing very clean, and we're going to continue to monitor that one and hopefully add some corals here very soon. I want to put some mushrooms and zoas in there. And then the 25-gallon Peninsula is having some upgrades done to it soon, and we will be able to stock more corals with those upgrades. Thank you all so much for watching. Please leave a like and please subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and I will catch you all on the next one.